All right. Let's give the other stream here a second to get caught up, and we should be good to go now. I've been closed for just about a minute here, so we'll get to take a look at the closing price here for the Qs and SPY. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for June 30th, 2022. Qs down 1.24. SPY down 0.73. And we can take a look at the IWM. 0.7 there, so not much different. All right. So coming into today, bearish on the Qs and SPY. We have that daily sell setup. We have the pivot off the declining 20 MA. All of that pointing to us lower. Now, the plan is to stay bearish as long as the hourly doesn't go back up into an uptrend. Okay. So, staying bearish. Now, what we got today is useful in that we did get a pivot here. Since we triggered the sell setup, kind of just been in a grind lower. Yesterday we did a base, kind of an inside bar or inside price action. Okay, narrow body bar. And today we got the retracement. We sold off initially after the gap down, and then we retraced, and now we have another pivot here. So you can kind of see here how important the sell setup is into following this downtrend, also determining entry points, when to initiate the bias. So you can see here what we have here on the daily, the move up, and then the pivot, and then underneath that bar, triggering the sell setup, the move up, underneath that bar, triggering the sell setup. Okay, so hopefully that is clear how, this essentially is the same pattern that we have here on the hourly. Now, why that is useful is because if we were to take out today's high, the failure of a bearish pattern, right, then we would switch to a neutral bias. So we're going to remain bearish going into tomorrow as long as we stay below today's high. All right. And we've been talking about the potential for an hourly sell setup and an hourly sell setup failure thereafter, right, ever since the daily sell setup triggered. And that's something I feel like the last couple weeks that the market's been pretty straightforward. Okay, it's been easy to read. We've been moving up. We had that transition on the hourly. We said, okay, we'll see how far this move up is. But once that daily sell setup triggers, that's going to be the more telling pattern, the more important moment. Okay, and then you can see the reaction that we got or the follow through that we got once that triggered. All right, and then the follow through from there, and then now we just have an hourly trend to follow, and as long as this stays in alignment with the larger time frames, then we stay bearish. Okay, so most of what we've seen so far, we've really been anticipating for a couple days in advance. So and that's just because it's pretty typical, straightforward trend following. Okay, so nothing too fancy really to go off of here. Hourly, if this were to break back up into an uptrend, then that would be the earliest that you could start to try and switch to a bullish bias. Really, we need to see us take out this daily sell setup, okay, for the daily to no longer be in a downtrend. But with that being so far up above, $16 up above, it's a long ways to wait. So that's why we're also incorporating the hourly, okay, to anticipate that. All right, let's go over the plays from today. I thought today was kind of interesting. Not only did we have kind of a reversal this morning off of the initial sell-off, but today a lot of the really good shorts, once they kind of bottom, had even nicer moves back up, and it wasn't even necessarily timed with the market move up. Okay, so I think they were done in order. First was the SOND, really nice pattern here, and this was kind of the first one that I did not expect would move up that much. Nice pattern, nice base. As a short initially looked really good and got some follow through, but then actually to the upside, by comparison was a lot nicer. Okay. And so that was kind of the first one. This one I didn't participate at all because I just didn't expect there to be that kind of move up. So that was really impressive. And so once that happened, I was on the mic and we were trading this LYLT. I said, let's go ahead and flip this LYLT because it looked a lot like the SOND. I think the entry was over 41. Yeah, I got it before it broke 41. And ended up being a nice play, although, as it got moved up, there was a little bit of spread. I got out too early. But again, a really nice reversal. Even better than if you got the initial breakdown. So we saw this quite a bit today where we had a really nice setup. I spent all this time basing to pick the next direction, and then that direction gets reversed, even further. And then I guess I had another one here. This one I don't remember seeing. I don't think I was aware of it when it did that one. But again, you can see that the reversal to the upside completely eclipsing the move lower. So we saw that quite a bit. Probably the best one, which came at the end of the day, was the DOMA. So the DOMA, of course, really hard to get filled, but had a nice drop initially. Look at all this basing, right? Move lower, and then look at the move back up. Really impressive, right? And not necessarily, at least for me, is not what I expected. So we had that nice move up, and that was a nice flip. And then as a continuation, once it broke $1, it was nice as well. This one also, this in the afternoon when I was on the mic, was on it. And then James was also on it before. He was actually the one that called it out, not only the initial flip, but then again to play again as it was breaking $1. So, just really impressive how some of these, these setups, they took so long to base and then finally pick a direction. And then the actually reversal of that initial breakdown was a much better play and gave much better follow through. So, today really the flips were the thing to do. So even if you couldn't get filled on this on the way down or missed it, there was always that reversal, which ended up being even nicer. So, it was one of those things that really just had to kind of stay focused on these because, yeah, if you kind of gave up on it or only expected the initial move, then you missed the even nicer move. So we saw that quite a bit today. And so that, I think the LYLT, for me at least, kind of at least made me aware of it initially, or the SOND, and then after that, it just, saw quite a bit of it. So we'll see if that's the case, for tomorrow. We just saw a lot of that today. Was really good. Of course, as much of these shorts, you give me this, I'm going to play this every time. But this, I'm not as quick to jump on. But once we saw stuff like this, it was pretty good. So, and then the level 2s were readable too. It's just, you never know how far they're going to go. And so you just got to keep an eye on the level 2. Okay. All right. So that's going to do it for today's market wrap. Hope you had a nice day. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. Have a good evening.